tapped or clicked in to College Volleyball Weekly on Viral Volley Media. Now here's your host, Rob on mic.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to episode 292 of College Volleyball Weekly Men's Top 20, Week 5 recap, Week 6 preview. And yes, Joe McCurdy has eliminated the entire coaching panel. I mean, it wasn't just Dan, it wasn't just Theo, it wasn't Brad, it wasn't just Jay. It was the whole kit and caboodle. But was wanting to do this with Joe. He's been doing some great stuff on social media and really doing a phenomenal job reporting on the men's game, which I truly appreciate, as apparently do his analytics. A lot of you guys are also, but he also has great insight and great knowledge of the game. And it's very rare that you find someone with all those coming into one person and able to communicate it well. So we got our segment, No Average Joe, talking about men's volleyball week 5. So wanted to start out first before we let Joe run with it here. He's been doing a lot of coverage of ball, but we have to shout out to our social media people, our social media shout outs. First, a name that you've heard many a times, Josh Nakoba. He is omnipresent. He has gear from every single school he's covered, and you don't know who he's pulling for. You have to actually ask him who his team is because he has so much gear. But he's at Nakoba Visuals and also Buell Media, which he's dedicated. I mentioned last week, the social media shout out was to Courtney Miller, who is part of this group that Josh Nakoba has put together and has been really modest in sharing about. But now you guys know. And of course, the volleyball recap. Haven't met Izzy, but he's doing excellent work as well. And I know Joe's worked with both of them and seen them on the road. So with that, what do you think of the social media that the guys that are jumping on board here?
Oh my gosh, I'm so envious of everything Josh does. The equipment he has, the quality of content that he puts out. I'm just now getting on board with that. This year I've got myself a camera that I can actually shoot with. So I'm trying to be my own little Josh Nakoba, but also JTM V-ball. And then Izzy does an amazing job just being able to consistently put out graphics and carry that side of our sport, just consistently putting out high quality stuff. And half the time, especially, with me being on the road so much for each week, I don't get to watch a lot of these games. So whenever I pop up on my phone and I see the scores, I'm like, oh my goodness, what did I miss? So there's always something new. He's dipping into the club game as well. 630 just won back to back for the USA and the AAU. So he's doing an amazing job.
Well, we're not throwing shade at SIDs. It's just that we know they've got other sports to cover, and men's volleyball isn't their primary shtick. So, when you have these digital media content providers and creators, it makes just getting the game out there so much more valuable because I'm getting my results. They're right after the final ball drops, which is amazing. So,
Well, and you're seeing so many coaches and players just repost his stuff because at the end of the day, it's a major media account that is posting about their team. So it's just still overall great for the sport, and you're seeing his content just be ever more pushed out there. So it's great.
well, with that, let's go into our week 5 recap because I know you traveled to Penn State. So, of course, you're going to talk about anything you saw at Penn State, which I didn't get a chance to watch, but you had some great video you posted, and I wanted to get your thoughts on the play and the competition that you saw.
Yeah, I have been able to, ever since I was in Phoenix for the First Point Collegiate Challenge, be at a game every week this season. So I started in Phoenix, I then went to Manhattan, and now I was able to go to State College for that Penn State versus Hawaii matchup. And for the first time ever in State College, whether it be for football, whether it be for volleyball, it was a great experience. It was freaking cold. And when you live in New York, it's it's cold here too, but it was cold in Penn State even more. But overall, I mean, it was a really great experience. A semi decent crowd. Their women's team brings out the house.
Mhm.
So and I back in their heyday, back in the '08s, they were bringing out crowds, but the people that were there were quite involved with the game. And then on night two, they had a an outdoor or not hockey tournament, hockey game that was outside in the football stadium. So we were like, oh, nobody's going to be here. And they brought out at least I would feel like it felt like more than 1,000 in the rec center. But yeah, I mean,
Wow.
Hawaii played great. Penn State, they nearly pushed it to five that
Mhm.
second night. Night one was a little bit over and done pretty quick. Uh, no real impressive play from either side. I think Hawaii hit 300 and Penn State hit just below that, but night two was definitely where it was at.
Well, from those matches from this weekend, the Big West Players of the Week were named, and three of the four awards went to Hawaii players. And Kainoa Wade had a phenomenal weekend, Offensive Player of the Week. Justin Todd, Defensive Player of the Week. And why not just throw Chad Rosenthal in there, who's grown an inch every single week, according to Jay Hossick.
Right? Well, now who was the fourth? Because I thought they swept. So who
Grayson
set?
Albers from CSUN, freshman.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. See, that was the thing, we'll get to it later, but I feel like Long Beach State feels just a little bit dissed when they beat Pepperdine and Skylar Varga doesn't get mentioned. Paventi, I mean, he sets a great game. So just a little bit slighted when Long Beach State gets that big of an upset and they're not mentioned at all in their Big West rankings.
Yeah, Jake Pisani has been running a great offense, and you have to wonder when you have to follow up and act like Moni Nikolov and like, oh, who's the next setter? Oh, great, I get to follow Moni.
Yeah. No, and excuse me, Pisani. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, he runs that offense, and that's really all you can ask. It's being able to maybe not be as offensive, but just to set the system that Nick McRae has established at that school and that program. Nobody's asking him to be Moni. He's just being asked to be Pizzeni. So
Well, Pisani is one of those personalities that he's so fiery on the court, and if you watch him during his club years, you know, I wouldn't mind having him as a bodyguard, honestly, because he's that fiery. But he runs the court, and I don't want to say he demands leadership, but he's definitely an authoritative voice that his team is listening to, especially when you got names like Alex Kondev and Skylar Varga right there. And then, you got the quiet Libero, Kellen Larson. You're my bro. You're my freshman bro, or my bro that I like following here. So,
don't speak too loud. Shane Aiken may be listening.
well, Shane Aiken's also top of my list too. So, but Kellen Larson is an Irvine product, which is the city I'm from. So I got to root for my Irvine people.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Um, well, you bring up Long Beach State, and you talked about the results so far. But what has been impressing you about Long Beach State as we go into week 6?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? I mean, that was their first mainstay win of the season. Up until that point, I haven't really had Long Beach State on my radar. Of course, they're Long Beach State, they're number 2 in the country. But up until this point, their one big win was against Ohio State, where they lost a set, but were able to win. So there hasn't really been much talk about the beach so far, but they go into Malibu. They win in 4 against a Pepperdine team that will be one of the top teams in the country. They may not seem like it right now, but it's of their own fault, right? That
Hmm.
that they were not able to pull that game out. Really, just a lot of errors down in that third and that fourth set that went into extras, and then they lost by 2. I was saying on my channel, it was very reminiscent of that semifinal game back in 2025 where Pepperdine was with Long Beach State the entire way through. They were going punch for punch and then just couldn't put a ball away when there was a free opportunity. And, Moni Nikolov and company took advantage of it. And it felt like the same way today. Just Moni was replaced with Skylar Varga.
Yeah. Well, Skylar that night, that matchup on the 30th. 18 kills, hit a scorching 417. And like, oh, 417, we've seen guys hitting 600, but you realize he's going against a 6'10, 6'11 Hartke.
Exactly.
You got Ryan Barnett. You also have their middles who've been solid. I mean, Pepperdine is a physically huge team.
Really well coached and great defense as well. So I'm surprised that after Pepperdine goes on the road and reverse sweeps Lewis and beats Loyola Chicago, that they drop yet another four setter in their home gym. So it's not something I was expecting out of the Waves this early in the season, but a great win again for Long Beach State, who has just been playing at that two spot without really a key win, and they've gotten that, and now they've got my attention for sure.
Well, we can't avoid talking about Daniil Hirstinovich because he's really picked up his play this last week, and I think that was the X factor spreading out the offense. He finished with 15 kills, hit 313, got three aces. So they're bombing from the service line because Long Beach State's one of the top serving teams in the nation and contributing 20 points on that win. If you can call holding Cole Hartke to 17 kills and 317, holding him down, I'd take that on my best night.
Right, right. Well, that's the other thing, right? Daniil has had that spot on lock, surprisingly, when you've got such a talented freshman in Wojciech Gajek right behind you, and he has just upped his play this year, coming off an injury and keeping that opposite position on lock, with again such a talented freshman from Poland right behind him. So should be interesting if he can keep that up.
Yep, and Long Beach State sticking around at number two. In fact, the recent poll came out today, and I mean, you'd mentioned the top eight stays the same.
Pretty much, yeah. That is the call this year or this week for the AVCA. I think
Mhm.
there are a couple arguments that could be made that your anteaters should be up at four. I made that argument earlier today. If you want to talk about that, but yeah, top eight stays the same. Not a lot of movement. You see, Ball State just keep on creeping up. You see San Diego finds themselves back at 10. Lewis drops another concurrent reverse sweep. Unfortunate. I think Dan's dodging us this week after yet another reverse sweep. All love to Lewis though. I mean they've got some injuries and are figuring things out, but yeah, it's just continually shifting inside that what 9 to 13 range. I think that's where most of the fun is going to be had, at least right now in the non-conference.
Well, I'd argue as far back as 16, because at 16 is Stanford, who UC Irvine just saw for two this last week. And although they lost the first night 3-1, the adjustments that were made by Coach Costi and his new coaching staff, which features Matt Houlihan as a interim assistant, along with Taylor Hammond and crew, and Marty Ross, of course, former UC Irvine and Pacific middle blocker. Um, and you had the Battle of the Costies. You have "You Are Not My Father" matchup. Cameron Costi against head coach John Costi, dad. And it was an amazing first night seeing how that was going to transpire because Irvine has been switching up their lineups quite a bit. They have four setters they've been using this season, and unfortunately lost one of them at BYU last week. And that's Aiden Rigg with a foot injury. So still TBD, but Niff still has three, and he's going with Costi in a 5-1, or Cameron Costi in a 5-1, which, Matt Houlihan started putting the graphics up, crossing off Cameron Costi as a club player on his team, but only showing Theron Briette on the graphic.
No, yeah,
So,
I love Houlihan being able to get a chance back at Stanford, and the content that's been coming up, and maybe slowed in terms of the just overall NCAA, but just to be able to see him back on the sideline and have excitement with him and his daughters as well, pregame, postgame,
mhm.
it's just so sweet.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't mention anything about BYU UC Santa Barbara.
Oh, I mean, I would love to mention anything about BYU, UC Santa Barbara. We'll go right into that. BYU, I mean, really, I talked about dark horses at some point this season. BYU, while they don't get either of those wins against UC Irvine, when Rigg went down, when Costi came in, they were running a 6-2 sort of in that first match. But BYU, they're sneaky good. UC Santa
Mhm.
Barbara's no sleeper either, and to be
No,
able to sweep that team at home with Mustache Man running that offense.
Cole
Uh,
Schobel, the man of the year.
right? That's a huge win for them. And in years past, after a loss like that against UC Irvine, you may see a BYU team just kind of, get hit, their confidence get hit, and then it shows in that next match. But Connor Oldaney, Trent Mosier, AJ Cottle may be out, but Max Philippe coming in as a freshman, one of only three middle blockers that BYU has right
Hmm.
now, coming in, was a Grand Canyon commit, now at BYU, obviously, filling that role really, really well. Could be, a dark horse in this MPSF that is 4 or 5 teams deep right now.
Yeah. Well, funny you bring that up. I isn't the old GCU campus now just a satellite of BYU? Because all the players are coming over there now.
I mean, shoot, might as well be. All
Yeah.
right. No, it's the BYU Lopes, baby. BYU Lopes.
Yeah, looking at that BYU team, and we were talking about Stanford. Don't let, or I'm sorry, UC Santa Barbara and Stanford. Don't let the records fool you. These are teams that need to be respected because they've got the punch to knock anyone out. They've been a couple points short each set of taking out a top team. And, just because they're at 1-5 or 1-7, I'm telling you, they're going to click. And it's probably going to be right around tournament time.
Exactly, exactly. Stanford's always a team that scares me near the end of the year because, well, maybe not a favorite to win the conference. They sure will make it hard for teams that are favorites to win the conference to lose in that first round against them because I mean Mo Swag is one deadly opposite along with Teo and
Mhm.
yeah, it's gonna be a fun year, especially once we get into the regular season, to see if, while they may be 1-7 right now, to just keep going, keep figuring things out. We'll see what setter is taking over. I've loved what I've seen from all three of their guys so
Mhm.
far this year. So Stanford is in no way, shape, or form out of this.
Well, they've definitely got some of the most talented liberos to choose from between Kai Schmidt and Evan Porter. I'm like, if you're Costi, which one do you put out there? Because they both offer so much. And, it's a good problem to have. But, in the end, they're going for the wins. What's the winning combo? Is it having them both out there or just sticking with one?
Well, I don't know, and no disrespect, but liberos aren't scoring points. You could have either of them
All
out there, and
complaints. Joe
and
McCurdy at
right?
gmail.com.
Yeah, you could have both of them out there at the same time. You could have one playing DS for all, and you still need somebody to get those kills, get those blocks, and defense can only go so far. So would love to see any number of their offensive attackers up their production and up their impact.
Right. Let's jump on to another team here. We refer to this as the CVW Bowl, so to speak. We're gonna keep track of the records of the coaches as they play each other. And Dan was licking his chops. He had Brad and his Tritons on the ropes up 2-0, and then it slowly went into the Chicago evening.
And you attribute that all to Luke Chandler, my one of my favorite opposites. I've been tracking him since he was the MVP in the NEC his first year at Long Island, and then
Hmm.
had to sit behind Anthony Sherfon for so many years. They've started
Hmm.
this season with Leo Provetnikov on that right side, running that three outside system. But I think Provetnikov may have a little bit of an injury. I'm not sure if he may have seen the court against Lewis, but he finishes or Chandler finishes with 17 kills, helping him out a lot in that game, coming off the bench and being such a consistent attacker. The lefty, the southpaw. He's one of my more underrated attackers that hasn't seen a lot of playing time in his time at UC San Diego, but I've loved what I've seen from him so far this year.
We'll talk about coming up big. You mentioned the 17 kills, but 375 against another big physical team. I mean,
Yeah.
Dan likes them big. So,
Well, I just hope that Ozon Oz is back at some point. I know he's out with an injury, and it's unfortunate this early in the season when you're trying to play a top 20 schedule, which we know Dan always tries to do, and to not come out with one of at least the last two. A win against Pepperdine would have been huge. A win against UC San Diego equally so. Trying to keep yourself in that top 10, but going back to back in reverse sweeps again, like I said to start, is a huge shot to confidence. But in no way, again, no way, shape, or form are they out of it. Just need to
mhm.
get healthy. Need to figure out how to close out those big games and maintain momentum, because once they lose that third set, they're just you've tripped and fallen, and trying to regain any of that confidence that you saw in those first two sets.
Yeah. Well, the other athlete that's been really consistent, although not leading in stats in each of the matches, has been Seba Sani. He had 14 kills and two solo stuffs and two block assists for 17 points and contributing in the win. And John Lures is really beginning to find his rhythm in that San Diego offense. So, and he's one of the guys that's like Rambo. I think I called him Rambo last week just because he gets it done at no matter the cost,
Yeah.
which, is going to be great for that offense, especially when those all three pins are really firing, which means you
But
can't, the middles are probably the most senior in the Big West. Being able to mix it up and spread it out like that, it's only going to benefit you.
it's those Lincoln Memorial guys, man. They are scrappy. They are fighting for every bit of respect that they rightfully deserve. And Lures came into the season, wasn't the starter, and he's found himself as as one of the reliable members of that team, being able to figure out the offense. And when you have three, four such talented pins and who you've got at UC San Diego, it was only a matter of time that he figured out that connection, and should take him far this year.
Yeah. Well, let's go to another team that's in the MEVA, but they came to LA, and although they didn't get a W, man, they got a lot of respect in my book. First night, Ohio State at USC taking on the mighty Dylan Kleins, but
Oh
there's
no,
no
it's the other way around. UCLA, they played OSU played UCLA, and then they played USC.
Okay, there we go. That's why we have you on. All my data's all mixed up. But looking at Stanislaw Hachinsky, 22 kills against USC. I mean, 24 and a half points. And I don't know if you realize, but USC is one of the biggest teams on the West Coast along with Pepperdine because they got Wesley Smith back, who, I've seen him listed at 6'11", 7 foot, but man, I feel like he's bigger than that.
You've got such a talented USC team, and you don't even have Parker Tompkinson back on the floor yet. So it's where is this team gonna go? And I just want to see more of them as the season goes on. They've only played, what is it, 5 games so far this year.
Hmm.
They've only had 1 2-game series up until this point, where they played I believe it was Princeton and Fort Valley State. I may be wrong there, but only 1 2-game series so far this year. Only two ranked wins now that they beat Ohio State in 5. But at home, Ohio State coming off a loss the day before to UCLA, where they went a record-breaking set. I can't believe that we haven't mentioned that so far
Well,
in this
I was building
podcast.
up to that.
We're building. Well, I'm gonna blow it up. 48 to
All right.
46. And you've got like you said, Stanislaw Hachinsky just going bonkers, and Shane Wetzel again. I feel like a lot of these pins on Ohio State just aren't talked about enough.
Mhm.
Wetzel is one of the most deadliest servers in the country, and one of the opposites that just isn't spoken on enough. And when you've got
Yeah.
Daniel Henwood Rodriguez as your setter, the Puerto Rican U21 national team setter, he is dishing the rock like anybody else in the country. And while they haven't gotten a win, they have been pretty damn close. Long Beach State to start the season, UCLA, USC, they are going to be battle tested once they get into the MEVA. I feel like everybody's talking about Loyola Chicago, Ball State.
Mhm.
Ohio State is going to be a problem. They may not have a win against a ranked opponent so far this season, but they will be a thorn in a lot of those teams' sides once they get back into MEVA play.
Oh, without a doubt. That actually was building up to my final overall point, but I had to touch on two more teams, Loyola and McKendree. Loyola had Manhattan 3-0 in. I believe you're at that match.
I was at Manhattan's home opener when they
Okay.
played Roosevelt. But I love that Manhattan team. They're coached really well. A first year program, obviously. So to be able to go into a arena like Loyola Chicago and be close in a couple sets. But every match that they're playing this year is a learning experience. They're figuring out where every player fits. They're not sticking to a consistent lineup throughout a match. But they've got some playmakers and they make plays and they've got highlights. And while it's not resulting in wins per se this at this point this season, once they get into again NEC conference, when you've got UMES, you got LIU, you got St. Francis competing, that's a really good conference that just because of just the name recognition, there's not going to be a lot of talk. But for those like me who are watching all volleyball at all times because that's all I consume, it's going to be interesting to follow that story.
Well, also, I just want to mention about Loyola. Josh Schellinger back in the lineup against Manhattan, 13 kills, 0 errors, hitting 591. I can only imagine what Loyola's going to be like in come MEVA conference play with Fabakovic, Sosa, and Schellinger in that lineup. Now, Alex Smith Van Oyen, there is some concern. How's he going to fill the shoes of Ryan McElligott? Seems to be doing all right.
Well, and there's the other, right? I was really scared when we were in Phoenix and we didn't see McElligott on the floor on that first matchup. And I mean, honestly, to have a redshirt sophomore, I believe, just be able to
Mhm.
fill those shoes so well, and keep all of their like there was no step that was missed for them.
Mhm.
And once McElligott is back, again, a team that's not on full health. You got Schellinger back finally, who goes up back to back double digit kills, 19
Yeah.
kills against his former team. Uh, Pair that with Fabakovic and Sosa, like come on,
Yeah.
you will have just the MEVA. I keep on hammering home. These MEVA teams are going to be a problem, and at full health, no less.
Well, then let's talk about the McKendree match against
Ah,
Missouri S&T.
the
Didn't I? I was shocked when I saw
GWC.
that result.
It's so rare that a Nikki Sandlin team is outplayed in terms of cleanliness. And
Mhm.
I didn't. I just looking at the box score. You had not Roosevelt. You had Missouri S&T hitting higher in both the third and the fourth set. Had fewer errors. And if you just looked at that first set, 25-16 in favor of McKendree, you thought that was going to be a three-set sweep easy.
Mhm.
And you don't see that very often. And this is McKendree coming off a two-game series against Penn State where they looked absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah. Just goes to show on any given week.
Right? Any given week. And you look back at Nikki Salin's quote on Instagram, something about not being monsters and but being not being champions now, but being monsters in May. I think they I would not want to be in that huddle in that practice gym the next morning after a loss like that. I will. That is all I will say. They are no doubt beating themselves up about that loss.
Mhm.
So McKendree, they're again not out of it. Just a lot of young pieces that are
Yeah.
slowly figuring it out, and they will be back. They will be back.
Well, we haven't talked a lot about Lindenwood, but they got out of the week. But I want to talk the overarching theme.
Mm.
And Dan mentioned it last week. We've said it each season, but the MEVA is gonna be a slugfest.
Oh yeah.
There
Oh
is no like I'd be very, very, let's just say, hesitant to pick a regular season champion. I'm
right.
like, you know what? wait till the tournament finishes, and then I'll pick my champion.
Yeah, because oh gosh, and I made that mistake last year. I got on the bad side of a couple of Loyola Chicago players because I picked Ohio State to beat them in the final, and then I had to face the music when I saw them in Columbus that end of the season. So Dean Meyer, again, I apologize. I'm so sorry that I ever doubted you guys. But yeah, it is going to be one heck of a season watching all those teams battle it out. Day in, day out. And now that Lindenwood's back in the mix too, I mean,
Hmm.
you look at Zachary Solomon, just the
Hmm.
size of that kid. He is not spoken on enough as one of the
Yeah.
top setters in the country. Just with how he's able to connect the systems that they're running with Brendan Luthane.
Yeah.
I just it's so good to see Lindenwood back inside the top 20 and just shocking people every other week. And they've got a big matchup coming up in a couple of weeks against Ball State. I will be at that match. So Ball State's going
Wow.
to play McKendree and Lindenwood. I will be in Muncie for my first time. Again, I'm making it out to every game so far this year. Just
You,
every matchup that I can, I will be at. So let
well,
me
then we got to tell the coaches to hook you up with some gear at every place you're at.
that is the thing, right? Talking to Sally Wong or Sally Flicks, who just goes everywhere and
Hmm.
takes amazing video for almost every team that I can see. Loyal Chicago CSUN. She's like, I always like to wear the gear that I'm of the team that I'm shooting for, or whatever home gym I'm at. I'm like,
Hmm.
girl, I haven't been in this space long enough to have gear from anybody. So I would,
We're
have this
making the
be a
public call
message.
now.
Yes, please give me as much gear as you will offer because I love having volleyball gear. I don't have nearly enough of it, and there's not nearly enough of it on the market. When I was in Penn State, I bought two. I bought two. I think I'm wearing it right now. I bought a Penn State long sleeve for myself and then a Penn State short sleeve for my father.
There you
I don't
go.
have enough. Every time I get a chance to buy some merch, I would love. But if it's free, that's money that can go towards hotels and travel expenses. So
That's right. Yeah,
give me give me
exactly.
give me merch, please.
You actually mentioned Ball State, which we hadn't mentioned at all, and that is another team that is wicked deadly.
Patrick Rogers. He is a beast. He surpassed 1,000 kills. They posted something today, and it was so funny because they posted 1,056 or some odd kills, and I'm like,
Mhm.
and the caption was surpassed 1,000 kills, and I went and looked at his stats, and he had like 9 kills this week. 20 kills the last week. I was like, man, somebody really dropped the ball because he surpassed 1,000 kills like 2 weeks ago. So they were like, oops, we got to post something now because we just now caught it. So
Right.
you mentioned the SIDs trying to manage everything. So no hate, but we should be paying attention to those types of things, those types of milestones. But yeah, Patrick Rogers, Lucas Machado, again, coming
Hmm.
off an injury from last season, an amazing setter, both as offensively and he's just a blocker as well. He's a huge body. Ball State is not taking anybody lightly, which was their issue
Right.
last year. And they're looking good.
Yep. Gotta like what they're doing. I mean, especially with the MEVA conference play actually starting in week 6. But I believe we covered all the matches we want to talk about, unless there's others you want to bring up here from week
Ooh,
5. We kind of
I
touched on a little bit of every conference, a little
I,
bit.
I would love here Barry versus Fort Valley State.
Oh,
I that
yeah.
there we go. IVA versus SIAC. And Barry comes out with 2 huge wins, one in 3 sets, one in 5 sets. Good to see a team like Barry, who's coming out of Florida and taking down a team like Fort Valley State, who in all aspects is going to be good this year. I mean, they come off a 4 game losing streak. Well, now they're on a 6 game losing streak, but they go to
Hmm.
Cali. They run the gauntlet for all the Cali teams, and then they're back and they face Barry. And while I wasn't able to watch any of the matches, I don't think they were streamed anywhere. But
Hmm.
Barry, a huge win for their program. A win for Barry is a win for the IVA. So great win on them. Two amazing programs with great people heading them up.
Well, with that, I'd mentioned MEVA and EIVA, as well as a couple MPSF matches start here in week 6. But the before we go to that, I want to see who are your top players of the week.
Oh goodness. Okay. Well, let's go. Should I give one at each position?
We're up to you. This is no average Joe
This
segment.
is no average Joe segment. See, I got a lot of people upset when I did a little bit of content with the guys at Around the Block where I gave my 7-man roster, 6-man roster.
Mhm.
So I'll try and give some love to people in every position. Best setter of the week probably goes to Danny Henwood out of OSU. Yeah, they don't get a win. But they hit at an amazing clip. He's able to spread the offense, really good defense as well. Coach Birch is so happy to have a guy like that on his team, and being able to find Wetzel and Hachinski is huge. And then I'm gonna my libero Ryan Merck. You don't appreciate a libero enough until you watch them in person. And this Penn State team this year, it looks completely different than when I watched them last year. Merck is at the center of that, one of the best receivers in the country, and keep the ball up. That's what he does, and he gets in the head. He got in the head of that Hawaii team. Kainoa Wade, there's another one. He pops off. It takes every opportunity that he can to show his talents. Christian Tatrisky doesn't get the start for whatever reason. Wade doesn't like to talk about why he doesn't start players, just why, just praising the
Mhm.
people that he does start. And Kainoa Wade is one of the best opposites in the country who isn't a starting opposite. And so he drops 21 kills, is the reason why Hawaii wins that fourth set, just
Mhm.
because Tread was feeding him the entirety of those match points. So big on Kainoa to take that in one of probably what will be some of the few starts that he has this season. And then looking around the country, Skylar Varga hit 400 as
Yeah.
an outside hitter. I want to look at his passing numbers as well, because again, he's one of the best passing outsides in the country. But to hit at that high of a clip, and I think he's averaging above 400 on the season. Somebody fact check me there. But he is playing a really good season. And with Long Beach State just kind of having a quiet season so far, people aren't recognizing that, and I'm not recognizing that. And then
Well, this is what's great. You mentioned Skylar Varga. He's at 20th in the nation hitting percentage wise, and right behind him at 402, Alex Kondev.
Oh, see, that's the thing. When you have such a good passing outside like Varga, Caniv doesn't need to pass. Like, he got aced quite a bit in that Pepperdine game, but he
Mhm.
is he is just equally an offensive threat. Um, so he is there's so many weapons, and then you don't
Yeah.
even talk about we don't talk about their middles. Um, Jackson Christ is an absolute monster, an
Yeah.
absolute monster. So I'm excited to start seeing Long Beach in more high competitive matches as the season progresses.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I can't think of anybody else.
Well,
Another
you don't
love
have
to
to go
Luke
by
Chandler.
position, just the ones that are off the top of your head. So,
Yeah.
it's
Uh,
there definitely was a lot, like, definitely Kainoa Wade, but you already mentioned him,
yeah,
uh, just because he's really stepped out now, getting the Big West Offensive Player of the Week. I mean, the reality of it is he was doing some excellent stuff as the coming off the bench for USA this last summer, but you knew he had it in him. I
yeah.
look at Charlie Wade, I'm like, how did you get a 6'9" Kainoa?
Right? Oh my gosh. I say the same thing. It's like, what deal with the devil did you make to get a kid like that? But yeah, I mean, looking at stats across the country, um, definitely. I mean, Dylan Klein doing Dylan Klein things against Ohio
Mhm.
State, hitting 20 kills. It's really honestly, Sterling Foley for me was the difference maker in that match that
Mhm.
that kept Ohio State out of reaching distance. And then Josh Ellinger again, double digit kills in both of his matches as he slowly works himself back. And then, UCI, William Darcy. I mean, Mr. Australian, and he was doing it with swagger. You see all the posts that Nakoba was dropping, that Courtney
Mhm.
was dropping. I mean, he's got, and I don't like using this term, but he's got the most aura out of most, just players in the country. He's 6'11", he's Australian, like he must have a lucky girlfriend. All I'm gonna say. He is one dashing gentleman.
Well, he's along the line of Hugh Jackman, Heath Ledger, all these like Chris Hemsworth, all these Australian hunks.
Yeah, but
You
yeah,
know,
I think that covers it for me though.
yeah. Well, I actually, one of the players that got the nod at start, and I say this just because, having to step in due to an injury, Cameron Costi, you
Yeah,
know, and when he first committed to UCR, I'm like, oh my, that's Costi's son. What's he good at? He's actually a complete volleyball player. Setting isn't his primary role, but he can do it.
yeah,
He's a great hitter, and he's obviously got a high volley IQ, tough serve, but he got called to service, and here he was. So he definitely gets a nod in my book. And
for
obviously
sure.
the Libros, the Kai Schmidt and Evan Porter did a fantastic job. I know they didn't get the wins, but man, like when you're watching an inline and seeing what they're doing to get touches and keep balls in play, it's amazing to see. So
100%. 100%.
um,
It's just a position that does not get enough love. And
yeah.
again, being able to watch them in person just means ever so much. Watching Ryan Merck, watching JJ Sosa when I was in Phoenix, and
Mhm.
then of course Evan Porter and Kai Schmidt as well. It's a position that goes quite underlooked. And if you don't know the game, uh, it's just they're a complete non-impact. But when you know the game and you know what you're watching, those liberos are so much fun.
All right. See, not a formal team of the week, but just some standout performances that grabbed our attention,
For
which
sure.
brings us to our next piece. What are you watching, or what you're watching in week 6?
Yeah, so I mean, as of right now, this is not confirmed yet. I have not bought my tickets in any way. But what was supposed to be an off week for me may turn into a little trip down to Cambridge in
Hmm.
Massachusetts to go watch BYU face off against Lincoln Memorial, McKendree, and Merrimack. Another big time team coming to the East Coast near me. Haven't bought my tickets quite yet, so that's a hesitant maybe. But we'll be definitely watching that, of course. And then it's the rematch of the national championship, UCLA Long Beach State in the Pyramid, number one versus number two. That matchup will you have to have it on everybody's. You have to have it. It's got to be on TV. Buy ESPN Plus. Put it on your television. You are going to get an absolute quality game. So that's going to
And
be
it's already sold out as
yeah.
of 4 p.m. today, sold out. So the last time that happened, when somebody named Moni Nikolov was there, and you're finding tickets on StubHub for $1,000.
I was gonna put something out today. Moni Mania may have left us, but we are still that matchup is still being sold out. It's great, and you would think if it was in Pauley, it would also be sold out. You would hope that it would be sold out. But Long Beach State fans know the volleyball that they're getting, and they come out in droves. So that's a huge matchup. And then USC versus UC Santa Barbara. You got the Gauchos coming off two losses. USC in a little bit of an uncertain spot right now. They almost lose in 5 to Ohio State. So will
Mhm.
they? They've got another ranked matchup on their schedule. So always interested to see what USC does. But other than that, it's a little bit of a light week for us.
Oh, not too late when you got UCLA Long Beach State. You have
Right?
the 101 or Mulholland Highway matchup. That's Pepperdine at CSUN, which, Theo, I'd say this in front of you. This is kind of rebuilding year. You lost Donovan, who was everything in the world to me and your Northridge team. Jalen Phillips, he's a stud, but he needed Donovan. And Owen Doffner's stepping in, but he's still learning the role. And you got some new pieces in place that are going to have to go up against a very big Pepperdine team. So,
Yeah.
you know, but I believe it's going to be a really good matchup. I mean, don't sleep on that match also, but you're going to have multiple screens on because, UCLA, Long Beach State are going to be on at the same time. So, nothing wrong with staying home and having multiple monitors around you.
No, not at all. And that's exactly what I've got. And then, again, I love looking at our MEVA teams. Lewis Lindenwood or Lewis McKendree, Loyola Lindenwood.
Yeah.
Those are the marquee matchups for MEVA this week. They're getting into their conference play. So McKendree, Lewis, both teams that are coming off losses, both in need, or I guess no, McKendree beat Rockhurst after they lost to
Hmm. Yep.
Missouri S&T. But Lewis in desperate need of a win. McKendree's not going to make it easy on them. Nikki Sandlin versus Dan Friend. We know that's going to be a fun matchup. I was at that game in Lebanon last year. So always a good matchup. And then Loyola Lindenwood.
Hmm.
Brendan Luthane maybe cooking that Loyola block with his quick tempo offense. But should be a fun match for sure.
Well, the other piece of news that came out today, Dylan Klein named the AVCA National Player of the Week, and it was just a matter of time. It was going to happen, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happened again.
No, not
So,
at all. A National Player of the Year favorite, and for him to get that award at this point in the season against their biggest ranked win of the season, dropping 20, it's
mhm.
well deserved.
Well, we hit on a lot of the news items just in our discussion, but there's one that I need to address, which is very disappointing news. The NIL tournament is a no-go after
Mm,
I actually got a live tweet or text at the MPSF men's volleyball preview that it was on. The schedule was announced. I was pumping it and I apologize. And I got information to everyone that to message me about what's the information? Do you know if it's on or not? As soon as I found out it was off, uh, I reached out to everyone. But for whatever reason, I'm not even going to try to theorize what it is, but it's not happening. But we missed a huge opportunity in men's volleyball. When in the history of men's volleyball have you had the number 1 through 4 seed going all up against each other in one location back to back nights?
right. It wasn't advertised enough, and you don't know if that's because there was always that hesitation of, will this actually happen? Do we even have a venue? Do we have somebody sponsoring the event? I know USAV was trying to bankroll, but it's unfortunate, and those are matchups that UCLA, USC, Long Beach State, Hawaii are gonna want to, whether or not the NIL tournament's happening, being able to pay those athletes to play. But just looking down the season, KPI, RPI, I mean, you look at USC specifically, who
Mhm.
doesn't have the hardest non-conference schedule. So they're really banking on, can they win the MPSF? Because if they don't win the MPSF and they don't have those top four matchups on their schedule against Hawaii, against Long Beach State, you're gonna maybe outbid. We'll see a BYU see
You
down the
never,
line. A Pepperdine, can they?
yeah, Stanford,
With better.
yeah.
Stanford's in a really tough position with all the games that they've lost. So I don't know if we can throw Stanford in the conversation of teams that have good KPI RPI. They're scheduling hard. They're just not winning.
Hmm.
But the USC is gonna need to reschedule those matches and make sure that they face off and win uh, those games that yes, unfortunately are not going to be under the NIL tournament
Yeah.
uh, umbrella.
Well, there's any positive to it. It builds up the matchup for UCLA when they go to the outrigger in Hawaii.
Exactly.
So, and Long Beach State is playing UCLA this Friday, and I believe they'll see each other again on a home and away or home and home series, but it'll just be spread out a little more. But, in the end, a huge opportunity was missed because he had four national champions uh, since the 2000 season,
Yeah.
all being represented. So, you
Yep.
know, and how many player of the year candidates are on those rosters? You
A
know,
lot. Well, let's name them all. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, you've got at least two on each team, right? I mean,
yep.
it would have sold out in an instant if I feel like people were, from at least from who I was talking to, at least bought
Yeah.
hotels Hawaii fans are ready for those games, when the season's dropped back in December. So it's
Mhm.
just like a missed opportunity, but hopefully from who I've talked to, they're gonna be able to do it in full force next year. I know that's rest for the wicked, but it'll
Yeah.
happen.
The other piece of news is still no news on the streaming of the UCLA and USC matches at UC Irvine. So,
Ooh. See, that's the
but
thing. When you started talking about Stanford, I was like, man, I really wish I could watch the game and I would be able to have this
uh,
conversation because
but-
I had somebody in my comments being like, Micah Goss got moved to opposite. I was like, what? What, what is David Niffen cooking up over there? And that's the thing. Right now, I just want to see Trevor Clark on the outside because he's been one of the best middle blockers in the country, something that nobody was expecting when you've got Micah Goss on your roster. But
Mhm.
Clark comes in here absolutely tearing it up. He was an outside at his previous home. I'm not
At Mesa Community College.
community college transfer, coming in playing middle blocker, and would love David Niven. If you are listening, please put him at outside for at least one set. I need to see what was in his bag before you trapped him at middle. I need to see it.
He was a beast. I actually announced that community college championship match. Unfortunately, his team lost to Golden West College, which is coached by a former Long Beach State middle by the name of Nick Amato.
Ah, interesting.
But yeah, he definitely was a huge offensive force, but only you can't depend on one guy to carry your team. So,
No.
he was good, but Golden West was more of a team effort. But like you're saying, he had the athletic talent to be moved in the middle without a step, and he's you know definitely the highest hitting percentage on the Irvine team. He's also leading in blocks. He's in the top 10 in the nation in
Yeah.
blocks. So,
Yeah. Not
so
something, I watching that BYU series. I mean, I was like, why is Goss not on the court? And then you watch Clark play, and he's a free point every time he gets set. But BYU is doing a great job of setting or serving UCI off the net. So,
mhm.
interesting game plan from BYU that worked
Yep,
out, just not quite good enough.
right. Well, Joe, final moments here. Anything you want to drop before we end our episode?
Please, coaches, give me all the free merch that you can. Please, 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 please. Thank you. That's it from me. Yeah, I keep on following. I'm gonna keep on posting my content. I'm gonna keep on uplifting the men's volleyball side of this sport. Something that doesn't get enough love. You see a match like UCLA versus Ohio State breaks records, and
Mhm.
you see nothing. You see nothing from ESPN. You see nothing from Sports Center. And all I'm going to say, if that was any program on the women's side, you would see multiple posts just going crazy about the fact that a record like that was broken. So just
Mhm.
looking for a little bit of fairness and coverage when it comes to our side. And every time I talk to somebody who's being introduced to the sport this season, was introduced to the sport at some point, watching it live, watching it on TV,
Mhm.
you are hooked. You are hooked, and I just trying to bring that to the rest of the country, because we see overseas how popular the sport is, and there is a reason for that. And it's unfortunate that here in the United States that it's just not the case. But we're crawling, we're fighting, we're scraping, and would love some help from some of those major media organizations that claim to cover all the sports in the country. But I think that's it for me.
All right.
I'll get off my soapbox. But yeah.
Well, Joe, I appreciate you jumping on here on the week 5 recap. And we talked about having a segment. We went a full hour, and we didn't even need those other guys. Who are they? No.
Once you get me on the mic, I will talk all day long, as you can probably tell. So hopefully everybody who listened enjoyed the content.
All right. That's Joe McCurdy of JTMV Ball. Follow him. You got him on TikTok and Instagram. No Twitter or Facebook, but he's doing his the great coverage on those platforms.
Thanks for listening to College Volleyball Weekly. Be sure to follow Rob Aspero at the Rob on the Mic on Instagram and at Rob on the Mic on Twitter.